Welcome to Daytime Ottawa here on Rogers TV. The Canadian Culinary Championships making their return here to Ottawa January 31st and February 1st of 2025. So exciting. 3 incredible competitions, and here to tell us more about it and to introduce you to the Ottawa representative, I am joined by both Sheila White, owner of Time and Again, who judges, right? Welcome. Great to have you back on the show. And Lizardo Becerra, he is the chef and owner of Raphael Peruvian Cuisine and the representative for Ottawa. Welcome. And congratulations to you.
Thank you, Craig.
Pretty excited? You pumped?
Yeah, lots, yeah.
It's bubbling inside. I can feel it, Lizardo. Sheila, let's talk about this Canadian Culinary Championship. Tell everybody at home a little bit about it.
It is so great that it's in Ottawa. So basically there are 10 different regions or cities across Canada, and each gold medalist comes back to Ottawa to compete against each other. So we have one winner for Canada.
Nice. So, Chef, take me back to the Ottawa competition. I was there. I mean, I can't imagine what it was like. I mean, it was exciting for us, exciting for the judges. What was it like for you? Walk me through that experience.
Well, it has to come even before the competition because it was a ton of work for everyone in the team and the restaurant. So yeah, it was a lot of emotions also that day. But people asked me, like, do you know that you were going to win? And I said, no, never. But we did everything possible to win.
Tell me about that dish. I mean, Sheila and I know the dish well, of course, because we got to try it. But for those at home that aren't familiar,
so it was a very nice, I will say, like connection that we had to achieve in between Peru, what we offer as a culture and as an experience in our restaurant, but also Canada, right? And how do we make that possible? And it was very nice. We found this like beautiful sockeye salmon from BC, northern BC, and there's a sustainable fishery, and they're First Nation. So we found a lot of connectivity with our First Nation and the same struggle that they share. So it was beautiful to support that.
Nice, nice. Yeah. And so what, outside of that, tell me about the other elements of the dish.
There was a beautiful and velvety escabeche sauce that is very, I will say, traditional in Peru, with certain tweaks that it will make it a little bit more elevated, I would say. But at the same time, we put a lot of garnishes that also kind of entice this technique that we use at the restaurant as well. So there was a lot of our identity as a restaurant in the dish, and it was very, very tasty.
And Sheila, you as a judge, all the judges, you don't know whose dish is whose, right? This is sort of a blind taste testing, is that right?
At our level, we do.
Okay, you do?
We certainly do, because they come up and they present the food, and also the winery component is done. But in the CCC, there are 3 different events. So obviously the finale, which is great, and everybody can come and taste it, and that usually sells out right away.
Yeah.
But the 2 that I find the most interesting is the mystery wine and the black box, because that's really where the chefs have that, creativity, and it's exciting for the audience to see what they're coming up with and what they do, and it's such a small little window.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
those are my 2 favorites.
The pressure that are on. So what are you making for us here as we chat?
So I was trying to bring something that is kind of according to the holidays, and a little bit festive as well. So we eat a lot of pork and turkey in holidays as well in Peru. So I didn't want to bring something that you guys know very well.
Okay.
So I brought something a little bit more elaborate, but also that also, it has a little bit of a story, right? And
so what did you put down first there?
So what you see here, the purple thing, it's a potato that we call causa, the dish itself, right? And it's potato that has been kind of dyed with this beautiful corn here, which is a Peruvian corn.
Beautiful corn.
So, and this native from Peru, right? So that we do this as well, that you're going to try it later.
Right.
So that's the corn, and so we dyed the potato with that, and we made a dough that is like a lot of acidity, and it's very beautiful and bright. So very, very fresh. Remember that in Peru, these dates is not cold at all, right?
Right.
We're in summer. So
good point.
So it's part of it, right? We need something fresh and nice to enjoy with the family.
Sheila, you mentioned those two of your favorites. Let's talk about the mystery wine, because this is pretty cool what occurs during the competition. Tell us how that works.
So basically the mystery wine, each chef is given a mystery wine that they taste, and then they create a dish around that wine.
Right.
Which is...
And they have no idea what it is, right? That's part of the competition as well.
They have no idea what it is.
So they have to guess. For those of you that don't know, so they get this wine, they take it back with their team, and then they try to figure out, you know, what grape it is, of course, where the wine was made, and even the winery. And I understand you get extra points.
That's it.
Right, if they get all of those elements correct. And then there's the black box.
Well, and also they get to go out Friday morning and have to buy just for that event.
And it's not a lot of money. Like, their budget is very small.
tight.
If I remember, last year's like $1.80 per person is what they will be spending, and they blew us away.
That's it.
Right?
And all the guests get to try all of that, all the different different dishes, plus the wine on top of it. So it's really fun.
And these aren't just any wines. You won't find these in the LCBO, most of these wines. I mean,
I can't talk about that. It's a
they're all.
mystery
I can talk to it
wine.
to a certain extent. Is that they're all Canadian wines,
Yes.
and for guests that arrive for both of those competitions, and they're award-winning wines from Canadian winemakers. They're absolutely incredible. And then the black box. I think most people that probably watch some of these culinary shows understand that. But for those that aren't familiar, Sheila.
So the culinary team picks 7 unique Canadian ingredients that go into this wonderful black box, and each chef creates a fabulous dish.
Nice, very nice.
Very fun.
What have you added here so far as we chat away?
We have shrimp that has been seared, and then mixed with a sauce that is a little bit spicy. It's a little kick, and it's a combination of mayonnaise and anticuchera sauce, which is a very traditional sauce from Peru that has a lot of ají panca, which is another native spicy from Peru. It's a pepper that we dry, and then we made a paste with it. And we have some purple potato, we have some garlic chips, and then some garnishes with cilantro.
Beautifully done.
Beautiful.
Yeah. For those that aren't familiar with the restaurant, tell everybody at home a little bit about the restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was talking a little bit about it, but we have a beautiful 79-seat restaurant.
Nice.
In the front of the courthouse in downtown, in Elgin Street. So it's 200 Elgin Street. Beautiful Peruvian restaurant. We try to keep our identity with like all the recipes that is like grandma recipe. My mom was an excellent cook, so I have all that in my memories. But at the same time, all my team are just great people that know what they're doing, and we try to always elevate our cuisine. The majority of the people in the kitchen working are Peruvian as well, so we know what we're doing there. So.
Nice, nice. Well, we wish you the best of luck. Of course, all of Ottawa will be cheering you on. Still tickets available, right, Sheila?
Absolutely. January 31st and February 1st. As I said, there are 3 different ones. Usually the finale sells out for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
They're all super popular.
Yeah.
And it's always a great event.
Excellent.
It's really, really great.
Well, thank you both for being here. Really appreciate it. Best of luck to you, and best of luck to you. You've got a judge. You probably have just as hard a job. Mystery wine competition on January 31st. The Black Box on February 1st, as well as the grand finale. Head over to greatkitchenparty.com to get your tickets before all 3 events sell out. We'll be back with more daytime right after this. Don't go anywhere.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Trio Financial Planning, helping individuals and families live today and build for tomorrow. Branton Renovation is pleased to support this episode of Daytime Ottawa. Branton Renovations, Ottawa's award-winning renovations team.
Kids these days, people say we lack initiative.
And technology, that we're all addicted.
Kids these days, we hear that we only care about ourselves.
Apparently, we're lazy.
and don't seem to have any sense of independence.
Actually, kids these days are facing a lot because the world has changed, and so have our health issues. Kids these days, we could really use your help. Join CHIO in our biggest fundraising campaign ever to transform pediatric care.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Dustin Design and Drafting, your first step toward building your dream project with a team approach. Daytime Ottawa is proudly supported by Mary's Must Read Book Club. Follow Mary on social media at Mary K. Taggart for her latest book club picks.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Eastboro Designs. Eastboro Designs, designing a bold lifestyle through functionality and beauty. Welcome back to the show. It can be a difficult task if you don't know what you're doing, but my next guest is going to help us with just that. If you are looking at going through the holidays and beyond without gaining weight, my next guest has some great advice for all of our viewers at home. I am joined by Sue-Ann Hickey, naturopath. Welcome. Great to have you here. An author, I should say, as well. You brought your book along with you as well, so great to have you here. Let's talk about some of those steps we should take, Sue-Ann. What's sort of that first thing we should be thinking about before we dive into, all those deviations we're going to be talking about during the interview?
Yes, literally. So the first thing I entice people to do is before you go out, have something to eat. So most people will do the opposite. When they're ready for a party, they're like, okay, I'm not going to eat lunch, or I'll just have a salad because I know I'm going to overeat at dinner.
Right.
So that's, in my opinion, the worst thing you can do. You want to have a good substantial snack, maybe 4 or 5 o'clock, a small meal. So when you arrive at the party, you're not overly hungry, you're not diving into the hors d'oeuvres. And generally when we're at a party, dinner is going to be a bit late, right? It'll be 7 or 8. And I don't know about you, but when I'm overly hungry, I can't eat fast enough and I overeat.
I am so guilty of this, Sue-Ann. Honestly, I just went to a Christmas party over the weekend that I happened to host, and I did just that. Like, I didn't have lunch, and then all of a sudden, it just sits in you terribly too at times, right? When you end up doing that. So that's one thing. You also suggest starting with a non-alcoholic beverage. Tell me, what's the reasoning behind that?
Well, with that, if we're going to a big party, we don't know everyone that's there, we might be a little nervous, or maybe the in-laws there that's going to push your buttons. So if you start with a Perrier, that will be better than starting with an alcoholic beverage that can go right to your head, and then all resolve goes out the window.
Right. Okay.
So,
next one is bring a healthy dish. So a lot of us, I'm going to probably a couple of potlucks over the holiday season. When it comes to what people should bring to a potluck, if they're trying to keep this in mind, what do you suggest?
Yeah, so bring the healthy dish. Like, this is black bean and corn salad. You have all the protein in the black beans. I always try and bring a dish that's going to fill me up and keep me satisfied a long time. So something with protein in it. Everyone always loves veggies and hummus.
Yeah.
And when you put that out before a meal, it won't fill you up like cheese and crackers does. And you can have all your veggies, all the vitamins in it, and it's super delicious. I make my own homemade hummus.
Nice.
Put everything in the food processor. I time myself. It takes only 4 minutes, and everyone loves it. It's so much better than store-bought.
Agreed. It looks like you added a little something, though. You made it like the Sue-Ann Hickey special hummus here, right?
There is cumin, a bit of cumin and basil, lemon juice, tahini, and just the chickpeas. So, but the bit of cumin and basil and salt and garlic, of course, makes it have that extra pizzazz.
So you're a normal human like the rest of us, even though you're a naturopath. So, you bring these dishes, you're going to eat, some of the, but you are going to deviate a little bit, right? And indulge in something. Like, how do you get back on track after you end up, sort of deviating from the regular diet that you're used to?
Yes, many people think that, they have to be so perfect when they want to lose weight and follow it to a T and white knuckle it through the holidays. That's never going to last long term.
Right.
So I always tell my clients, enjoy your deviations. I don't like the word cheats because it has such a negative connotation. So enjoy your deviations, savor them, don't feel guilty, and then get back on track the next meal or the next day. Whereas in the past, what might have happened is they have their deviations, maybe a little bit too much, and the next day they're like, I can't do this. This is too hard. Forget it. And they have the croissant for breakfast and continues from there.
They just give up. They just throw in the towel and they're done. You sent a body type chart to us, and I'm going to ask them in the control room to bring up that chart. Let's talk about body type. Like, should you eat differently depending on your body type?
100%. That's what my passion is. When I was taking my classes to be a naturopath, the first thing that we learned was how to eat right for your body type.
Okay, and we're looking at it right here just to give you a heads up.
So there are 4 different body types. It has to do with the glands.
Okay.
Nothing is wrong with the glands. It just means that each of us have a gland that's working harder than the others, and the others are trying to catch up. So when you start eating the right foods at the right time for your body type, the dominant gland calms down and the other glands get stronger, and this creates a balance from the inside out. So across the board, when we start eating like that, all my clients tell me my cravings have gone down. I'm not as hungry. I feel better eating this way. I'm losing weight. So because we're giving the body the right foods at the right time, there's a sense of balance from the inside out, and it works amazing. It's the single most beneficial thing that I ever did to completely transform my health and my life.
So looking at this chart, I mean, if you could pick one of these body types, can you give an example of, sort of what type of food, I don't like to say diet, what type of food lifestyle you should be living?
Sure. So for the gonad type, that's often known as the pear-shaped.
Okay.
So they tend to gain weight a little bit more lower body. And for them, they have a very slow metabolism in the morning. They, take my time, takes me a while to get going. So a small light breakfast is perfect for them, medium to light lunch, and dinner is the main meal of the day, as that is when their metabolism is highest, and that's when they're going to burn it off most easily.
Okay.
So some people are doing the opposite. They think, I need a big breakfast, and everyone says eat a big breakfast, but if they have like a heavy breakfast, bacon and eggs, that could just completely cause them to gain weight.
Interesting.
So everyone is different in what their needs are.
You brought along your book, Body Typology. Tell me a little bit, what can people find in the book?
Yeah, in the book, it's all about the different body types. You'll be able to figure out your body type. You'll be able to determine your plan, and everything is set so you know what kinds of foods to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, what foods to eat more of, what foods to avoid, and a lot of healthy tips of other things of just how to be healthy in general.
Right, and I imagine too, I mean, making your own food is probably one of the biggest things that we should be doing for our health, right?
Yes.
Because, what we see in the stores, all those prepackaged, if you look at those ingredients, I mean, are you shocked when you shop now and what you see on labels?
Recently, one of my clients said, I'm making these healthy power bars. My healthy power bars have a half a cup of maple syrup in the whole batch. So her power bars were using chocolate chips, and those had like 90 grams of sugar in a half a cup. So
you got to watch that. Sue-Ann, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time. You can get in touch with Sue-Ann by going to bodytypology.com. And of course, you can find her book there as well. We'll be back with more right after this.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Trio Financial Planning, helping individuals and families live today and build for tomorrow. Branton Renovation is pleased to support this episode of Daytime Ottawa. Branton Renovations, Ottawa's award-winning renovations team.
Are you low on food? Struggling to pay the bills? Overwhelmed by life's challenges? When you need support but don't know where to turn, just dial 211. 211 connects you to the programs or services near you.
211, how can I help you?
211, help starts here.
on Rogers TV.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Dustin Design and Drafting, your first step toward building your dream project with a team approach. Daytime Ottawa is proudly supported by Mary's Must Read Book Club. Follow Mary on social media at Mary K. Taggart for her latest book club picks.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Eastboro Designs. Eastboro Designs, designing a bold lifestyle through functionality and beauty.
Welcome back to the show. The holidays just around the corner. No matter what you're celebrating, Christmas, Hanukkah, doesn't matter. We know that everybody gets busy. You get a little stressed out, maybe a little anxiety. You need to take care of yourself. And my next guest has some great ideas when it comes to self-care, especially for you moms out there, because we know that you're juggling everything. And Andriana Gonco knows all about that because she has 3 sons of her own, and they are busy, which means you are always busy, right?
That's right, Derek. I mean, we say the juggle is real for a reason.
Yes.
And this is the time of year where, you know, things can get a little bit overwhelming. And I just want to make sure that everyone out there, we're not forgetting about mom's stocking. We're not forgetting about mom's gifts. And if perhaps you are the mom who's shopping for your own stocking, I've got some great ideas to share to help you feel refreshed, rejuvenated, and get that relaxation into the new year.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because it's okay to buy yourself a gift, right? I mean, I've done it too. I've done it too. And then there's nothing wrong with it. We're going to start with something I hadn't heard of before, and that is these Olay cleansing melts.
Yes.
And I'm wondering where the melt part comes in here.
This is so great. This is such a fun stocking stuffer. Definitely a must-have.
Okay.
Whether it's for a mom, a teen, a tween. These are the new Olay cleansing melts, and what it is a water-activated cleanser.
Okay.
And all of the things that I'm sharing today really have multiple purposes, do double duty. This is a 3-in-1, which is beautiful. It's dermatologist tested. It has fragrance-free options, and it is great for sensitive skin. So I'm just going to show you here, and I'm going to open it up, which is really, really fun. It comes in a box like this with the melts, and each melt looks a little bit like this. Yeah. And we're going to come over here to do a little demo because I want to actually show you what happens. It is water activated. So you're going to just let it soak for 3 seconds, okay? So, you know, let you do the count.
1001,
if you're traveling over the holidays, this is great as well. And so once it's kind of gotten soaked, you can see how it forms into this beautiful lather.
I thought it was gonna it's gonna be a cloth that grew.
No,
you know, like those little dinosaurs you can throw in the water and they grow. So this turns into a soap
this beautiful lather that you can get, and it is that 3-in-1. It cleanses and tones and it refreshes, so you really get all of it. So you can pop that in a carry-on if you're traveling over the holidays or into the winter, and it's really great for the teen, the tween, the mom in your life. So that is from Olay. You can get them on Amazon, and I have a little secret to share. $5 off if you use the code MELTS5. So MELTS 5. Okay, so you can get that on Amazon.
And by the way, on behalf of all the dads out there, you're allowed to use the product too.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, no, really, like that. We're bad for that. Men are bad for looking after their skin and looking after themselves in that manner. So don't be afraid, dads. You can try it too. All right, what have you got next here?
That's right. We can share. We can share.
Yeah.
I want to share a sort of a one-stop shop for a lot of your holiday gifting, and that is at Best Buy.
Yes.
There's so many ways that we can shop. It's such a flexible space, so you can go in store, many locations across the country. Some in Ottawa as well, which is so great. You can also shop online, bestbuy.ca. There's also an option when you can order online and then you can pick it up in as little as an hour. So lots of different ways. They also have an app, so you can check that out. You can make a wish list for yourself. You can favorite those items.
Nice.
But I did bring something from Best Buy that I am loving right now. This is the Shark Multi-Styler. So this, again, you know I love my versatility. You love my double duty. This has everything you might need for your hair care all built in one. It is a game changer. It's going to change the way your blow drying your hair, curling, straightening, volumizing, smoothing. It's got all of these beautiful attachments.
I know, it's got more attachments than my vacuum, this thing.
And it comes, there's a great little bag, a storing bag that comes with it.
Okay.
But essentially, you're reducing that heat damage because you're only using the heat once, because you can be drying and curling at the same time, drying and smoothing out your hair. So no matter what you're using for that attachments, there's different sizes, different options. This is such a great product.
Really
so bestbuy.ca or in those Best Buy stores, you can find it all there.
The other thing we want to do around the holidays, well, year-round, to be honest, is staying organized, right? And many of us don't plan. We don't use planners. You have a great planner that you've made yourself, right?
That's right. So this is the Juggle is Real Authentic Self-Care Planner.
Okay.
Now, this is a self-care planner.
Okay.
Okay. So this is essentially, moms, we're putting ourselves bottom of the list a lot of the times, especially around the holiday. This was built out of necessity a few years ago. I've got 3 young kids. One of them I was nursing at the time, 2 virtual schooled. I was working from home full time. There was a lot on my plate. I did experience burnout a number of years ago, and I didn't want to go down that road again.
Right.
So I created this planner so that we can make easy, simple, and carve out those pockets for ourselves. So it's based around 5 pillars of well-being, so that we can make those small commitments. No, we don't have time to meditate all day on a mountain cliff, or, you know, not right now, not in this stage of life, but can we carve out those small pockets? Can we stay accountable to ourselves and then celebrate ourselves and be grateful for all of the amazing things in our life, even when things are a little bit hectic and chaotic?
What are those 5 pillars?
So the 5 pillars are to nurture, your traditional self-care, to nourish, to fuel your body, to move, to find those ways to feel good in your body, to grow, to be creative and really tap into that creative side, and then to discard. That's probably the most important, and my favorite is to learn to let go, to remove, to release things from your plate. And so this is a 3-month planner that's going to help you as we go through the holidays and into the new year.
And yeah, because you don't have to say yes to everything.
That's
right. I mean, there's things you have to say yes. I mean, there's no doubt about it, especially when it comes to family. But sometimes we just end up saying yes to everything and we get overwhelmed. What have you got last over there? Because that one is the one that caught my eye when you brought it out.
This is great, and this can fall into your move pillar. So the Juggle is Real planner, you can get that on Amazon. This is my weighted vest, and I will say I share a lot on Instagram, and this has become very quickly one of the most popular things I've shared.
Really?
This is a 12-pound weighted vest.
Okay.
And what I love about it, I'm going to put it on. I don't know if it's going to, wreck my mic situation or not.
We'll see. I'll get yelled at. Don't worry.
What's great is that it really adds to whatever movement you're doing. So, hey, if you're a runner, good for you.
Yeah.
I take this on my walks, so it's just adding to the movement.
Yeah.
I also wear it around the house. If I'm vacuuming, mopping, emptying the dishwasher, you can use it for squats. But essentially, it's just increasing that resistance.
And anything that you're doing, no matter what it is. The self-care gift guide, by the way, is available at Andriana's website, andriana.com. As always, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody. We'll be back with more right after this.
Kids these days, people say we lack initiative.
And technology, that we're all addicted.
Kids these days, we hear that we only care about ourselves. Apparently, we're lazy.
And don't seem to have any sense of independence.
Actually, kids these days are facing a lot. Because the world has changed, and so have our health issues. Kids these days, we could really use your help. Join CHIO in our biggest fundraising campaign ever to transform pediatric care.
Hi, I'm Sam LaPrade, host of Ottawa Business Matters. We're going to gather here every single week and speak about business here in the capital. We're going to inspire, influence, and inform.
Hello, I'm Liz Dowdswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. In 2008, carbon monoxide, a deadly invisible gas, killed an entire family in our province. That tragedy led to a new law requiring homes with potential CO sources to have alarms. John Gignac's family members passed away that day, and he shares his story to save others.
Please make sure you have working CO alarms in your home. Protect your family today.
Are you a content creator looking to expand your audience and make your voice heard in your community? Rogers TV wants to provide you with a platform to share your hobbies, interests, and stories for free. Visit us to find out more.
Watch Podium exclusively on Rogers TV.
Hey, welcome back to the show. We are back talking design, and one of the biggest things you're going to think about when you're doing a kitchen design and renovation is cabinetry. And my next guest just had a conversation this morning, actually, with one of our clients talking about this, because it is a big decision. Deidre Jorson joins me. She is lead designer and owner of Eastboro Designs. Welcome back. Great to have you here. And am I right? I mean, this really is, when it comes to a kitchen design, it's probably the biggest part. I know we've spent a lot of time on countertops, but cabinetry, right? I mean, that's the main part of your kitchen, right?
Well, it is, and I find that it sets the tone for the space, like in terms of like a design kind of kickoff, so to speak.
Right.
And I mean, aside from appliances, like depending on what you're looking for in the way of appliances, because that, price range can be quite a big fluctuation.
Right.
Your cabinetry is also a really, really big, chunk of what a renovation for that kitchen's going to cost. So there's a lot to consider when selecting materials, and then which materials, which brands do you want to at least look at.
Everyone has a particular budget, of course, too.
Right.
And so we're going to talk about three different things, right? There's those big box stores, kitchens that you can get. There's the semi-custom, and then there's the full custom sort of bespoke, right?
Correct.
Let's talk, let's start off with big box store. I mean, what do clients need to take into consideration? And maybe they're trying to think of affordability. I don't know. How difficult is that to match what your vision is for your kitchen?
Well, when you are working with a designer like myself, I mean, having done this for 20 years plus.
Be proud to say that, Deidre.
Well, I am, and having done it here in Ottawa, I understand, when a client has a budget and they say, okay, my budget for my kitchen is in and around, say, $60,000, I already have an idea as to which line of cabinetry we are going to be considering from a budgetary standpoint.
Right.
But one thing to consider, or many things to consider when looking at, say, a big box store, a lot of those cabinets, some of them do come assembled, but a lot of them are known to be what we call flat packed. So they come unassembled.
Right.
So there is still a labor component to assemble. So whether that is by the general contractor that you have hired, such as Branton Construction, right? Contractor Ryan. Or you are going to have, say, IKEA and their installers put it together, there's still, a fee associated with that, right?
Right.
And what I always say is, the quality, or the install is really only as good as the person installing it. Like if they have the ability to really, make sure that everything is nice and square and plumb, right? Because then
very important.
Exactly, right? You want to make sure that everything is nice and square before we continue on to the next steps. So when you are looking at flat packed cabinets or big box store cabinetry, one thing to understand is that there are size limitations for the cabinets.
Yeah, of course.
Right? There's really no wiggle room for customization unless you are working with a contractor who can make some of these site modified cabinets. So say, for example, we are dealing with like a tall cabinet that the standard depth is 24 inches and we really need it to be 21 inches. Do they have the ability to make that really large cut on site? Right. And so clients who, for example, are dealing with a really small kitchen footprint and we, every inch matters, it's really, really tricky to work with some cabinet sizes where increments are only, say, every 3 inches and the heights of the cabinets are really quite restricted. So
it's just a matter of understanding what the priorities are with the client. And if they say, you know, I really want to maximize and I want all these accessories and I want, you know, my storage, like even under my toe kick of my cabinet, like all of these things, well, we may not be able to do a big box store approach.
Right.
Therefore, we may have to look at like a semi-custom option or a full custom.
You sent some photos along to us, so I'm going to ask them to bring up those photos so we can have a look and continue this conversation. But I mean, what are we looking at here? Is this a fully custom? Is this a semi?
Yeah, this is a full custom.
Okay.
So this is created by Cabico Cabinetry, and it was sourced by a local cabinet dealer here in Ottawa, and they were really able to customize quite a bit. Right?
Yeah,
and
because
so,
custom, I mean, the beauty, sorry to cut you off, but just the beauty of the custom, right, is you maximize every single centimeter of that kitchen.
Absolutely.
Right?
And not only that, but with custom cabinetry, you also have more options with door styles and finishes and cabinet sizes and even the interior construction of your drawers. We've got, you know, a couple different tiers or levels of drawer construction, right? So, and again, you've got less of that when you are doing more of like the flat pack cabinets.
Right.
And so when you're dealing with a big box store type of cabinetry, you know, sometimes some clients say, hey, I'm only renovating my kitchen because I'm looking to sell my home in the next 5 years.
Okay, yeah,
right?
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
So time frame in terms of when a homeowner, you know, wants to stay in their home or if it's a forever home, it's a very different approach to material selections and how much they're willing to invest into the cabinetry.
We're just looking at, and again, colors, right?
Yes.
We're seeing more and more of this. Is that something that you have to be careful with as you know, because maybe you want something that all yellow, right?
Yeah.
And then, but would you quickly get bored of it? I mean, these are things you have to take into consideration, right?
Sure, absolutely. So this cabinetry here, for example, is done by Parliament Millwork, who is one of my primary custom millworkers.
Okay.
And the last photo actually showed the island where the back panel had kind of slots, like slits in the, like routed out in the back panel.
Yeah.
And that is to allow for air circulation. Instead of having, you know, like the floor vent, you know, on the floor, or taking that floor vent and putting it like right on the front of the cabinet and it just being unsightly. So this was actually integrated into the panel itself, and the reason for that as well is because that cabinet also houses the downdraft for the cooktop there. So again, there's like more modifications that we have to do based on sometimes even appliance selection, right? And so we may be more restricted with one brand of cabinetry than another.
Well,
you know, skies can be the limit for.
I was going to say, this is why somebody should come and see somebody like you, because you don't know the different options, and you're thinking, oh well, that ugly thing, that ugly vent, I've got to keep it no matter what. I just recommended, by the way, this wonderful woman to somebody in my neighborhood. So if you're looking for a designer, reach out to Eastboro Design. You can find her at eastborodesigns.com. We'll be back with more right after this. Don't go anywhere.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Trio Financial Planning, helping individuals and families live today and build for tomorrow. Branton Renovation is pleased to support this episode of Daytime Ottawa. Branton Renovations, Ottawa's award-winning renovations team.
Leonard Thompson, 13 years old, diabetes mellitus, 65 pounds.
Starve the child to let them live? The treatment's as cruel as the disease. It's a death sentence.
Dr. Banting, this could be it. He's the first to receive this trial. But will it save him?
It's not pure enough. So we try again. And again. And again.
Before the discovery of insulin, diabetes was a death sentence. Banting, Best, Collip, and McLeod's breakthrough has saved millions of lives. Leonard Thompson's was the first.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Dustin Design and Drafting, your first step toward building your dream project with a team approach. Daytime Ottawa is proudly supported by Mary's Must Read Book Club. Follow Mary on social media at Mary K. Taggart for her latest book club picks.
Welcome back to the show. You will recognize one of my next guests. She usually comes on the show to talk about the latest adventure for Jen and herself. But today, we're actually talking about her son, who is a wonderful young artist and also an actor. He could not make it today, but his mom, Sarah, is here with us today. She is, of course, Lyndon's mom and co-founder of Polykindred Arts Collective. Welcome back, Sarah. Great to have you here. And James Jensen, Executive Director of the Osgood Township Museum. Welcome to you as well, James. And this is all part, James, of the Ottawa Museum Network. Let's start with that and talk a little bit about that network.
So the network is sort of an umbrella organization for a group of museums, some of which are actually funded and operated by the City of Ottawa, and a series of independent not-for-profit museums that receive the bulk of their funding from the City of Ottawa. So we sort of work together informally as a group throughout the city. There's a number of museums beyond sort of just the national museums.
And these are sort of those smaller museums, right, that you would see in and around the Ottawa region, right?
And then they include places like the Diefenbunker, which is one of the largest, or the Cumberland Heritage Village, which is also quite big. But there's a museum in Nepean, there's one in Stittsville, the Goulburn Museum. So there's a number, and we vary in size.
So tell me specifically a little bit about the Osgood Township Museum.
So we were founded 51 years ago. We preserve the history of Osgood Township, which was one of the sort of rural areas that surrounded the City of Ottawa until amalgamation in 2001. Okay. And we're now part of sort of the 80% of Ottawa that is actually rural. So we're located in Vernon, which is, if you get on Bank Street and start driving south and keep driving south and keep driving south, we're literally the last sort of village in
one of the longest roads in the entire country, Bank Street.
Well, I joke with people we're closer to Morrisburg than we are to City Hall. But we talk about rural and agricultural history in the township, and then we talk about it today as much as we talk about the past as well, from the times of Indigenous occupation of the area right up to today.
Sarah, so how did you find out about the Osgood Township Museum?
So these little museums, I think, are the hidden gems. As someone who homeschooled kids for many years, I love the little small community museums, and especially because they're very community oriented and they have lots of events, and that's how we ended up being in touch, because they had a lovely event over March break where kids could come in and make art. And so Lyndon came and he made some art, and we took pictures while we were there because the museum was doing that, and we like to take photos, as you know. Yeah. And I posted them when I got home, and he jokingly said, "Hey, wouldn't it be funny if Lyndon was our first artist in residence at the museum?" And I said, "Well, I'm pretty sure you were joking about that, but here are all the
you
reasons
shouldn't joke to me and my family." Is probably what you said to him, right, Sarah? Yeah, we're seeing Lyndon here, and I should say a big shout out to Lyndon, because I know he'll be watching the show. He wasn't feeling well, unfortunately, and couldn't make it. But what stood out to you, like when you saw some of his art, James? What stood out to you that you thought, hey, I think this is a great idea?
Well, he was just very into it and very serious, but also having a lot of fun. And we had sort of taken a gallery of all the kids' work the day we did the art program, and Sarah told us that she was posting them, and that he had plans for his art. And as I said, it was kind of a joke, but museums often do have museum or artists in residence. And I mean, it is often slightly more sophisticated, but I mean, I think for me that's part of the fun, is sort of saying it's okay for a 4-year-old to take this role in a museum. And I used to work in a museum where the director was very anti sticking up kids' artwork, so it amuses me to know that
good for you, James.
Secretly we're doing that counter to his desires.
Yeah, and Sarah, I think, for me it's obvious where he got his creativity from, but for viewers at home that don't know, this is something that you constantly encourage, right? And it doesn't matter, not just your son, but anybody to get involved
and I mean, art is very important to me. I think it's a great way to connect with yourself, with your community, with the people around you. So all of the arts, though, are something we encourage. But I think with children, what I like to do is just see what kind of sparks that joy in them. And say, yeah, you can totally do that.
Yeah.
You know, it really doesn't matter what it is. We put a lot of artificial barriers on our children that don't really need to exist.
Agreed.
So I'm kind of the opinion that if a kid is doing a cool thing and they like it, you can just help them do that.
I agree, and I've been doing this for a long time, and it just clicked in my memory of having somebody on the show that was talking about art and young people doing art and how sometimes we correct them, like the clouds should be blue, not purple, like. No, it's art. I mean, it can be anything. So what does Lyndon then think about being, the artist in residency here?
Well, he walked up to a random lady at the thrift store the other day and said, "Hello, I'm Lyndon. I'm a professional actor and a professional artist."
Nice.
So I think he's excited about it. He does a lot of cool things, so I don't think he thinks of it as unusual. Of course I can do this thing, Right. At the beginning of the year, he exhibited at an art show with me, so it was the two of us exhibiting, and then he was in our Monster Mash art show as well. He made actually a really cool piece, I think I kind of teach him a technique, and then I go ahead and do the thing. And he comes up with things that I wouldn't even have done, He has a really interesting sense of color and balance for a 4-year-old, and I kind of like seeing that come to fruition. It's a lot of fun.
James, may go into a little more in depth of the Osgood Township Museum and what's on display on any given day.
So, I mean, we're a small museum, but we're on a 3-acre site. We have a main museum building that used to be a 2-class school. So we have a fairly new exhibit that talks about the history of the township, starting right back thousands of years ago with indigenous peoples. We have a 10,000 square foot community garden in front of the building that just explodes during the summer, and we also grow produce that's available for locals. It's part of the city's community garden network. And we also have a huge barn full of agricultural and other machinery. So there's, we're far from downtown core, but we're actually a very big, small museum. And we run programs once a month for families to come in and do projects like Lyndon has done. As well, we host a corn roast in September. And so there's always a lot going on. And yes, we are sort of an outpost of culture in the city.
And Sarah, just 15 seconds left, but last time you were on, you mentioned you're going to start doing workshops. Are you there?
Yes, we actually have an art space in Winchester now. So the Creator Space at 509 Main, and we have things going on pretty much every day. Workshops, classes, one-off events, some live performances, and then memberships as well. So you can come in for open studio hours.
Excellent. Thank you both for being here. Really appreciate it. Congratulations, Lyndon. Hope to see you again sometime that you're not in pictures, but in person. We'll be back with more right after this.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Trio Financial Planning, helping individuals and families live today and build for tomorrow. Branton Renovation is pleased to support this episode of Daytime Ottawa. Branton Renovations, Ottawa's award-winning renovations team.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
Growing up, I was surrounded by violence. I had the drive to pursue education, but I didn't have the means. I couldn't afford to because the child welfare system is not enough to support youth who want to go into higher education. And that's where the Children's Day Foundation of Canada stepped in to provide financial support. And today I have my neuroscience degree. Education makes every child unstoppable.
Join us for season 4 of Simply Cooking by Chef, Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, right here on Rogers TV.
This episode of Daytime Ottawa is brought to you in part by Dustin Design and Drafting, your first step toward building your dream project with a team approach. Daytime Ottawa Ottawa is proudly supported by Mary's Must Read Book Club. Follow Mary on social media at Mary K. Taggart for her latest book club picks.
Hey, welcome back to the show. I was just telling my next guest, I just went to a holiday Christmas concert over the weekend, and it's the time of year where there's just some incredible ones. And this particular concert walks you through from traditional to music from all around the world. It's something really special because they have incredible special guests involved in this one. It's called the Christmas Caravan with the Sultans of String and special guests. I am joined by Patricia Kaiser. She's the director of the Ottawa Catholic School Board, Young Voices Choir, and the C5 Choir Chamber Ensemble. It's quite the title, Patricia. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
You must be excited because it's just around the corner, right?
It is, yes.
What makes this particular concert, Patricia, really, really unique and special?
Well, this one's really exciting because the children are not only getting to be on stage, but they're getting to be on stage with Sultans of String.
Right.
So that's a lot of fun. They are such a talented group, and the children get to be on stage for the entire concert, and they will be singing back up for quite a number of the songs, actually, throughout the evening.
Nice.
So it'll be wonderful for them to sing with a professional band and to have that experience of a live audience in a large theater.
Let's talk about each choir. So the OCSB Young Voices Choir, tell me a little bit about them.
So we are a part of the Central Choir program for the Ottawa Catholic School Board.
Okay.
I believe, last I heard, we are the only school board in Ontario who still has a central choir. So it's a very special program.
Yeah.
And we take children from all over our schools, all across the Ottawa Catholic School Board, and we have 4 different choirs in our board choirs program, and the Young Voices Choir is made up of children from grades 4 to 6, some 7 and 8s as well.
Okay.
So you're looking at mostly 9 to 13-year-olds, mostly 9 to 12, and they are on a huge learning curve. They're doing a beautiful job.
So is it an auditioned choir? Like how?
It is auditioned,
okay.
yes. We try not to turn anyone away in our board choirs program, but sometimes simply due to numbers, we aren't able to place them. But yes, so it is an auditioned group, and we have 56 singers. And we've just performed twice in the past 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Our big Christmas concert was last Wednesday, and before that we performed at a memorial service, which is like a Christmas memorial service for the public. So that was really lovely.
And what type of music do you incorporate?
So we sing children's choral music.
Okay.
That can be from classical right up to contemporary. Last spring we wrote something that was written by our own conducting assistant, Aaron Kaiser, and he wrote a really big piece for them, actually, which they performed last spring. So we have everything from Bach to brand new.
Nice, nice. Let's talk a little bit about the C5 Choir Chamber Ensemble. Again, a very unique choir as well, right?
Yes. So C5 is actually 5 C's. So it's Chinese Canadian Children's Choir of Canada.
Okay.
We call ourselves C5, and it's made up of primarily Chinese Canadian children, but not entirely. And the program started in about 2018, I believe, and was building, and we had quite a large group. And then, of course, COVID happened. Now we're in a rebuilding phase, but we're coming into a really solid stage right now. And the chamber ensemble is it's the upper level group in terms of performance. They perform SATB music, so soprano, alto, tenor, bass. They're singing 4 parts.
Okay.
And they are ages 9 to 17 at the moment, and there are only 15 children.
Really?
They do a beautiful job of singing 4 parts on their own, and
what
I'm really
type
proud
of
them.
music would we see from that choir?
So again, it's children's choral typically, but we also stretch it out. At our Christmas concert on December 1st, we actually performed something that is normally done by an a cappella group, like a pro performance a cappella group, and we did a 12 Days of Christmas arrangement by them, which was a lot of fun. It's a bit of a humorous take on the 12 Days of Christmas, and it throws in a big mashup of all different Christmas carols.
Oh, I love it.
So we sing a variety in all languages, including Mandarin, but typically primarily English and French, but lots of other world languages as well, because that's such an important part of a choral education.
Yeah, of course. Performing with Sultans of String, do you get to rehearse with them at all? Like, tell me what that experience has been like for the kids.
So we're rehearsing on our own. We're learning the music.
That's what I figured,
And then we will do a stage rehearsal on concert night. So an hour and a half before the concert, we will be running the pieces with Sultans of String on the big stage. So it'll be really exciting for the kids. And then we'll clear the house for the audience to come in. So we will have a chance to do that, and then we'll be on stage for about 2 hours for the performance.
For people that aren't familiar with Sultan of Strings, I think it's pretty obvious in the name, but what instruments would we typically see?
So, Sultans of String, wow, that's a difficult question to answer.
Because it could be any, right?
Yes,
string instrument,
they bring in a lot of collaboration with world instruments, also indigenous artists. They do a lot towards truth and reconciliation, but they do a lot in terms of world music. So you're never quite sure what you're going to get from them. You're always going to have fiddle, violin. You're always going to have bass and electric guitar. You're always going to have drums, and then there's going to be a little bit of everything. If you listen to their music the way our family does, we listen to lots of their stuff.
Well, sorry to cut you, I'm just running out of time, but I will let you know how you can get tickets as we wrap up the show in just a moment. So don't go anywhere. I'll be back with all of that information right after this.
Welcome to Community News and Events on Rogers TV Channel 22. I'm Dave Hilson with a terrific Ottawa tradition to share with you. Wayne Rostad and Friends Christmas in the Valley has a series of shows taking place in December. There are stops in Brockville, Cornwall, and Pembroke, with a final show at the Meridian Theatre at Centre Point in Ottawa on December 19th. Net proceeds help the CHEO Foundation and food banks in each city. This year's show includes special guests including world-renowned fiddler and vocalist Kelly Trottier, and Bradley Scott, one of Canada's premier guitarists. Rumor has it that Santa Claus himself may just make an appearance as well. Google Christmas in the Valley with Wayne Rodstad for showtimes and tickets. Meanwhile, watch Fit or Over 50 with Meg weekdays at 8:30 a.m. right here on Rogers TV Channel 22. Have a safe and happy holiday.
Welcome back to the show. As promised, give you all the details on that fabulous concert that I just spoke to Patricia about. It's the Christmas Caravan with Sultans of Strings, Shankman Arts Centre, December the 12th. So that is coming up this week, and tickets will sell out. So make sure you get your tickets. shankmanarts.ca/Christmas-Caravan. Again, if you just go to shankmanarts.ca and just look up the Christmas Caravan with Sultans of String, you'll find out information on that. The Canadian Culinary Championship coming to Ottawa, hosted again here in Ottawa. The January 31st is happening at the Rogers Centre. That is the mystery wine competition. And then the following day on February 1st, that begins at 8 a.m. for the Black Box competition at La Cité Collégiale. And then the grand finale competition, which will sell out quick, so make sure you get your tickets. That's also at the Rogers Centre, and that kicks off at 6 p.m. 10 of the best chefs from across the country, the best wines you're going to find in all of Canada. They're all award-winning wines. GreatKitchenParty.com. You can buy either for each individual competition or for all three. Thanks so much for watching this edition of Daytime. We will see you next time.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
Hey, I'm Dave, and I absolutely love to camp. Why do we do this? Why do we go out here? With the bugs, the bears, skunks chasing you, poison ivy, ticks, you name it. Why do we do it? Because we love it. I love it. I wanted to take my passion for filming and the outdoors and combine them, and that's why I'm here. Maybe it's a mistake, I don't know.
When I was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, I was deteriorating in front of everybody.
All my life I lived with sickle cell. I went through a tragic crisis